say about the fishing here, Doc?
The fishing was off the charts. I can't sit. I don't want to stand. I can't even lie down. I'm dead.
Do you want to hook another tarpon, Doc?
I don't want to hook another sardine. Nothing. I couldn't even place a 20-pound.
Well, today I'm sitting in a very, very nice fly fishing shop, but I believe that it's only a small part, that the site is actually the big one. But I'm here at Frontier Fly Fishing with Tom Lewin. He's the owner of this joint, and this is at the next level. Tom, thank you for allowing us into this kingdom of yours.
No, thank you very much, Werner, and welcome to our shop.
Today we're going to talk fishing. I'm sitting with something here, and my jaw is already dropping in terms of what I'm seeing. But we're going to talk about a couple of very interesting tours, very, very unique, and that's somewhere up there. What are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about a trip that we do to Costa Rica to fish for the biggest tarpon in the world, the biggest tarpon on the planet, giant tarpon that run from 100 pounds to just under 300 pounds. This place is located on the Costa Rican-Nicaraguan border. We fish for them in the open ocean and the river mouth, and it's just the most phenomenal fishing that you can imagine.
I'm sitting here with a couple of flies in my hand, and I thought it was just tied together with something, but this was actually the line that you use as a tippet. So this is massive. So tell us about this trip that you have. When is it, and what is actually taking place, and who can go?
Okay, we run the trip at during the two best months of the year for this destination, which are September and October. During these 2 months, we get huge masses of these giant tarpon that congregate around the river mouth where we fish. We stay at a beautiful little guest house in the heart of the Costa Rican jungle with a lovely family who look after us just wonderfully. We eat very well, the place is very comfortable, the rooms are air conditioned, the beds are comfortable, and it's located right near the river, so a 2-minute walk from where we stay gets us onto the boats. 10 minutes later we're down the river and out of the mouth and into the ocean, and we're fishing. And like I said, these 2 months, September and October, are the 2 prime months. We choose the best weeks within those 2 months based on the tides and the moon phases. And for the last 9, going on, this will be our 10th year, we've run trips to fish for these giant tarpon. And
how long is the trip like that? How many days?
7 full days of fishing. So the days are fully guided. We fish off boats. The boats are big, 30 feet long pangas with big 150 horse motors. So there's plenty of room for 2 anglers to move around comfortably on the boats. The guides are absolutely exceptional, the best that I've encountered anywhere in the world. Each guide on average probably has 30 years of tarpon fishing experience. They've grown up in the village, and they've really just cut their teeth from the age they can walk on tarpon and tarpon fishing.
Let's talk about the fish itself. You've mentioned some silly numbers about hundreds of pounds. Let's just think about this a bit and tell me, what does these fish look like?
Well, they're pretty prehistoric fish, Werner. They, there are illustrations of tarpon in the Sistine Chapel, so they go back that far, and like crocodiles and sharks, they haven't really changed much. But the Latin name for them is Megalops atlanticus, and megalops means big eyes.
Anything with mega is already big.
Megalops for mega fish. They have these huge eyes which are situated on top of the head, and the mouth is a bucket-shaped mouth, which tells us straight away that the fish hunts upwards, and the way that the mouth is shaped obviously aids the fish in nailing its bait and its prey, going in an upward direction. They have very, very bony mouths. The mouths are like a steel bucket. So a lot of the time, even though you'll set the hook and drive that hook into the fish, probably 1 in every 3 fish eventually shakes that hook loose. Bit like a tiger fish, but just on a giant size, you know.
Now talking about size, what is the biggest one that you've caught on any of this last 9 years, or were part to?
Well, the biggest fish that I've caught was estimated by 3 guides, because after the hour and a half of fighting it, a couple of the other boats had come in to see me land the fish. And 3 of the guides who've, like I said, had extensive experience in the place estimated the fish at around somewhere between 250 and 270 pounds. So that's about a 120 or 130 kilo tarpon. So yeah, it was an absolute beast. A fish of a lifetime.
How long is a fish like that?
It's about 2.5 meters long. As the fish get bigger and bigger, they tend to put, a bit like us. We don't grow taller. We tend to go this way. So this thing literally had a girth like a cow. You know, it was absolutely massive. The mouth was probably, you know, that size.
That's a big fish, eh?
Yeah, it's a massive fish. It's absolutely massive.
And what's the feeling when you hit something like that?
You initially think that maybe your shoulder's been pulled out of its socket. Yeah, the take is a very, very, very aggressive, very brutal, jarring take. Normally, immediately after the fish is eaten and you've stuck the fish, because you don't strike. We strip strike and drive the hook in that way. And that fish bursts out of the ocean clean out, and that'll probably be the first of many jumps. They jump anything from 5 to 10 times during a fight, clearing the water completely, sometimes jumping double its body length out of the water.
Your heart goes a little bit.
Everything shuts down. Yeah, your brain shuts down. You're just in a completely different world. You cannot believe it.
Now in one of these trips, how many, I know every fish is not going to be 200 pounds, but you obviously have some sort of an average size. What is the average size of fish that you?
Well, over the last 9 years that we've run trips there, and we probably, we can land on a good trip up to 100 fish. So over the last 9 years, 800 or 900 fish landed. The average has been about 140 pounds, so about 70 kilos. Those are big tarpon by world standards. And if you had to catch a fish of 140 pounds in, for instance, the Florida Keys, that fish would be celebrated literally for weeks and weeks on end. You know, they're just unheard of. That's an average sized fish for us. And every year we get a lot of fish in the 150 to 200 pound class, and then quite often we'll get a couple of fish over 200 pounds as well on a trip.
What's the comments of a newcomer or a first timer? Let's say the novices, the guy that has never caught tarpon before, that first one he hits. What's the type of, I don't know, what can you see as a guide going through that guy's mind?
I can't say what most guys saying when they hook that first thing, because there's a whole string of expletives and things that come out of the mouth. Yeah. But yeah, once that fish has jumped the first time, and then it can run sort of 100 or 200 meters in the first run, and that reel is just, it's just, you can't even see the handles, it's going so fast. Those guys, their eyes are like almost as big as the fish's eyes, and their jaws are on the ground, and they just actually cannot believe what's happening to them.
I can imagine.
It's just the most unique, crazy experience. Yeah. Okay,
so let's just stick to fly fishing for now, because I'm amazed just by seeing the type of flies that we are on, and I'm thinking, how on earth am I presenting this? I can actually see this one that has caught a fish is bent open. It's one hell of a hook, and it's already bent open.
Yeah.
So I can imagine the type of power, and if I look at these tippets, it's like, guys, this really is like wheat eater gut. It's flippin' thick, and you must see how the tarpon's rough mouths has actually, I don't know, destroyed this. So let's just talk about tackle. What do we use?
So normally when we go out in the boats, we our stock standard tackle will be anything from a 14 to a 16 weight fly rod. That's just to give us the lifting power to get those fish and really lift them up, particularly when you're close to the boat.
This is now something like this.
So this would be a typical rod.
It's like a pole.
Yeah, it doesn't have a whole lot of flex. It's not your typical trout rod, let's just say. But it's extremely strong and light and capable. We've landed many big fish on rods like this. So your 14 to 16 weight rods will give you the lifting power and the pulling power to stop these fish and turn them and pull them. Your average fight on an average size fish of 140 pounds could be anything from an hour to an hour and a quarter, hour and a half. Anything lighter you're just going to be there all day. We do take 12 weight rods as well with us, because sometimes the fish move into very shallow water, and we can have these big fish cruising slowly around the boat in water from 6 to 10 feet. And in situations like that, it's great to be able to actually cast at moving fish, and the 12 weights are useful for that. But for the most part, we're fishing out in the open ocean beyond the mouth of the river. They're very strong rip currents, and we can often see the fish rolling around. And what we'll do is just literally roll cast the fly out, feed line until the fly's in the zone, and then they have a very unique technique, Werner, where they don't. The guys have worked out that stripping the fly all the way back to the boat is not as productive as keeping the fly in the zone and just moving it backwards and forwards by holding the line and just literally letting line out by half a meter and pulling it back and letting it out and pulling it back. And you
just get the movement.
And you're keeping that fly moving, but in the zone where the fish are feeding. And normally that doesn't take longer than 5 minutes before your arm's, like I said, being wrenched out of its socket.
I see you've got a proper winch there.
This is a big wheel, yes. So yeah, this is the kind of reel that we would typically pair up with a rod like this. This in fact is the most important element of the whole setup, because the reel is what's going to take most of the strain. When you're fighting the fish, your rod is pretty flat, and most of the strain will go onto this.
How much line goes onto it?
We put about 200 to 300 meters of 50-pound gel spun backing on here, and then the fly line, which is another 30 meters in front of that. And then we normally fish about a 6 to 8 foot level piece of 125 to 150 pound hard nylon, straight tippet to the fly, tied with a loop knot to give the fly maximum movement.
Yeah, I can see you. The way that you tie it gives a lot of.
So that's a non-slip knot, and it'll allow the fly to move with that.
That's a typical Rapala knot.
Yes, correct, yeah.
Okay, so hitting a fish or two like that, have you ever had more than one fish per boat?
Yes, we have. We often have that.
And then
it's real chaos. Yeah, we call it knitting, because you're over and under and chasing each other around the boat, and it's a whole lot of fun and a whole lot of chaos.
Do you ever have to chase after a fish with the boat?
We do. When the guides don't like to do that because it gives the fish a chance to rest. So we'll do that only when we absolutely have to. Most of the time, the 200 to 300 meters of backing is enough, but there have been plenty of times where we've had to start the motors, because if we didn't, we would have been spooled. And then we go after the fish.
But if you have two fish on with that, you're in trouble.
Especially if they're going in different directions. But we've had many cases where we have double hookups.
In terms of the actual fishing, and this is how you do it on the fly, is that the only type of fishing that we can catch these tarpon on? Or?
Not at all. No, not at all. We often have anglers with us who are conventional fishermen. So the guys would fish the appropriate rods and reels for a fish of this size, using heavy braid and obviously the correct bite tippet, so that the fish don't chew through the tippets. But guys have had on our trips previously have had a lot of success using surface poppers, using crankbaits, and using soft plastics and jigs and things like that. So those anglers are most welcome on our trips. And then we've also had our fair share of bait fishermen as well. So the guides will collect in the morning, will collect live and dead baits, and the guys fish baits either on a slow troll. Or
What live baits do they use if they use live bait?
they use things like ribbon fish, and then they use the bait fish that the tarpon feed on, which are anchovy type.
That's why
baits.
you've got this type of pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So literally
So it's anything. Anybody can go.
Anyone can go. Anything goes. Yeah.
Have you ever had non-anglers on the boat? Somebody that's caught a fish like that for the first time, which is the first time I'm going fishing type of thing?
We have had non-anglers on the boats. They're normally partners or people that accompany the anglers. Because, for instance, with the fly rod, there's no real serious fly casting involved. You literally can put someone there who's never caught a fish in their life before and get them into a tarpon.
And then watch their eyes.
And watch their eyes grow big, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can imagine. It must be quite an excitement.
It's the most exhilarating experience. The rush of adrenaline is just second to none. It's just your heart feels like it's going to actually beat out of your skin, you know. It's quite something.
Okay, now I think you've got me hooked there. So if I want to go, what must I do?
Well, you must contact us for a start, and
Where do we contact?
you can contact us via our website, which is www.frontierflyfishing.co.za, or our email address, which is info@frontierflyfishing.co.za, or via phone, which is Joburg 011 463 9048. So any one of those three channels will get you in touch with us, and we can give you more detail on the trip in terms of the logistics, the dates, how we get there, how it all works.
Let's give our viewers a little bit more. So I think the first thing is, what are the two dates? So if I need to start arranging my leave, what are the two dates?
I don't have the exact dates now, but both of them are running more or less the middle of September and the middle of October. You need to set aside about 10 days, and that'll take care of the travel time on either side as well. So typically what we do is we'll fly from Johannesburg on a long haul flight into the States, or into Europe. If you don't have an American visa, you can fly into Europe. Either way, and then from there it's a direct flight into the capital city, San Jose. As soon as you land in San Jose, the trip starts. So I have people coming in from all over the world, so we generally don't get involved with the international flights, although
Okay, so
we
you
can
meet
assist.
up there.
So we give our guests a date that they need to be in San Jose by. There's somebody that meets them at the airport, that takes them to the hotel, and that's where the group will meet up. You overnight at the hotel, and then the following day is a travel day. So we'll do some of the travel by road. We have an amazing trip of about 4 or 5 hours, which takes us through the Costa Rican jungle to the river.
That must also be interesting.
That's amazing, yeah. And we kind of stop along the way and have some refreshments and things like that. But you just see the most incredible things traveling through that jungle. And then the last part of the trip we do by boat along the river, and that's also amazing because you're going through this pristine jungle area along the river with all your gear. And eventually we wind up at the lodge, and that's where we're based for the next 7 nights.
And then you fish for 7 days, and then you do that whole thing in reverse.
And then we do it in reverse, yeah.
What is the cost of a trip like that?
The trips cost $4,650. So they're priced in US dollars, which is what all international trips are priced in.
Does that include or exclude the flight?
That excludes the flights.
Okay,
It
so
includes,
you need to get there.
You need to get there and back.
And then you pay 4,600.
Yes, the moment that you're there, all the internal travel arrangements, your hotel on the front end and the back end in San Jose is included. 8 nights accommodation in the jungle, 7 full days fully guided fishing, 3 meals a day, etc., is all paid for. Tackle, we don't generally supply tackle. In other words, it's not included in that price, but people are welcome to hire fly fishing tackle from us. So we do include, we do have the option for people to hire fly tackle from us. So that would be a 15-weight rod, a matching reel, the correct lines, the leader material, the flies, etc.,
I can obtain it. If I am not a fly fisherman and I would like to do it either on bait or something, can I hire tackle there, or do I have to take it with?
You can hire tackle there, but it's the heart of the Costa Rican jungle, so the stuff is not probably the best quality equipment that most anglers would be happy with. So our advice is always bring your own gear along with you.
What type of gear do I take with? So if I'm not a fly fisherman and I want to take a spinning rod or something, what type of rod and reel do you need?
Well, I'm not a conventional fishing is not my forte, but I would say that you definitely need to bring a rod and a reel that's capable of handling very big fish like that. So any gear, any reel that's got good gears in it and a strong drag that's not going to easily be smoked by a big fish on a long hard run. So I guess the kind of gear that you might use for fish like tuna, that sort of thing, would be appropriate.
Okay, so maybe something like a saltist or something like that, a big reel with a good drag
and good
maybe
quality kit, like
10-foot rod or something.
Yeah, Stellas, yes, something like that.
Or a Shimano Stella or something like
Stellas, Sortigas, a lot of line capacity, like 200 to 300 meters of 50-pound braid. And the most important thing as well, Werner, when it comes to the terminal tackle, is the quality of the hooks as well. You cannot go there with just the regular kind of hooks. They're just going to get opened up. So our flies are all tied for us, are custom tied for us here. We import those hooks. We use Owner Aki hooks, which is probably the best quality hook. Very, very strong blade cutting points and blade points in the front to give you maximum penetration. So anyone fishing bait or anyone fishing conventional have to pay attention to quality of hooks. That's very, very important.
Can the guys just come to you and get some advice? What hooks? Can you get me some hooks? That type of thing.
Absolutely.
Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely we can. Yeah. We can help with all of that. Yeah.
Well, certainly that looks like a trip. Well, how we call it? A bucket list trip. This is one of those things that I think every angler just have to do.
The fish is they call Tarpon the Silver King and not for nothing. It is just the most phenomenal fish. It's huge, it's fast, it jumps. It really does everything. When God sat down and created a game fish, he was in a good mood.
He was in a good mood when he did Tarpon.
And apart from that, the whole setting in the jungle just adds to the whole experience. We've always said that we're in the business of selling experiences, not just a fish on the end of the line.
Memories. Eh?
So you're
going to sell memories.
Yeah, the wildlife, the bird life, the butterflies, the howler monkeys, the sloths. All of that stuff, the whole jungle experience comes with it. Incredible food, just every element of the experience is top-notch.
And you've got a couple of slots left over, or left open in September and October.
Yes, we do. Yeah, we've probably got 3 or 4 spots left on both trips, still open. So I'm really hoping that people who see this and read the stuff on your website are going to be interested and would love to come and join us.
So there is still a couple of places this year, September, October, so make sure you make your booking. If you're not ready yet, place your booking for next year. And we are also going to get an article in the tight lines of one of the coming trips. And so if any of our readers, you might even be in the article. Tom, thank you so much. And I'm really looking forward to get some information back and some article, and I wish you well, and may you get to that 300 pounder one day.
Thank you very much, Werner. Thanks. It's been great. Thank you very much.